Good morning, SingularityNET community. Thank you for joining us on a lovely Friday. We are here in track 3 and very excited to welcome everybody here to this Decentralization in Action discussion space where we get to hear from some amazing folks who are really putting this into action right now. So I'm here with Ian Wentworth. We're co-hosting the space today, and we're joined by Betelhem Dessie, who's a very special speaker to us. She's been in the ICOG labs forever. I'm not sure the history started perhaps, or very much in lead in there. And it's my pleasure to introduce her as co-founder and CEO of the ICOG, Anyone Can Code project. So she's Ethiopia's leading youth technology education entrepreneur. She's named as a young pioneer in Ethiopia's emerging tech scene by CNN and BBC, and has been included in the list of African innovators to watch in 2019 by Quartz. Very impressive lady, and we're thrilled and honored to have her here and have her as a cog in the SingularityNET and ICOG Foundation. It's just amazing to be able to work with her, and a privilege. She was born and raised in Harar, Ethiopia, and Betelhem was interested in computers starting from age 7. She started coding at age 10, and since then has continued to learn, mastering key aspects of computer science and robotics by her mid-teens. So her talk title today is Decentralization of Technology Education, which is exciting. And I welcome Betelhem, and over to you.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really happy. I've been actually since the beginning, I've been part of the SingularityNET community when it first started before the COVID, and I used to join Ben in his travels while SingularityNET was just starting. So it's really nice to see how much the community has grown, and how much great work has been done so far. So thank you so much for having me. So just to get us started, thank you so much for the introduction. You've done a really good job covering what I was about to say. My name is Betelhem Dessie. I am born and raised in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is located in the Horn of Africa, or East Africa. And today I'm here to talk about why it's necessary to democratize access to tech education. And all of that starts with how I first started coding. So I'm just going to go over my story so that you can better understand why this is a very important project for me, but at the same time, why it's relevant to what's happening right now. So I was born and raised in Harar, which is not the capital, but a bit far away from the capital. And, I was a kid. I like to explore things. I like to break things. I was a curious kid. And then this was almost 14 years ago. I actually turned 24 today. It's my birthday. So almost 15 years ago is when I got access to my computer. So my father had a shop, and in this shop there was a computer that was there so that, just out of curiosity, my dad would bring new tech materials, new electronics to see if it would sell and if there was interest from people. So I had access to, a lot of things coming into the city, but I was very privileged considering that I get to see these things because this was, even finding computers in government offices or big organizations was a big deal at that time. So initially, I'll just delete everything on the computer and see, why is it not working? Why does it need all of these files to work on, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been, I experiment whenever something happens to the computer. We take it to one shop. There was only one person that could maintain this. And then I would sit down and see how it was maintained. So through that time, I started learning a bit more about computers, and, there was no way for me to learn more about it because there are not a lot of resources. But luckily, people come to our shop a lot. So I would ask people, do you have any type of books? Do you have any type of things I could read about this? And then people would bring that in for me. So I had this book about visual basics, right? So visual basics book, I started working on that. But after that, I needed something that also made money, because my dad was a merchant, and then, he always stressed the value of money. And he was like, when you do something and when you learn something, you need to make money out of it. And that was when I figured, okay, there are people coming outside of the shop that are buying mobile phones. So maybe I can edit some of the pictures that they had on their previous mobile phones, put music on it and then make some money. But, that was just a fun thing until I needed to celebrate my birthday. And I was celebrating my 9th birthday. And then I asked my father to give me some money so that I could celebrate my birthday. But he was like, I'm busy, please, let's handle this, another time. And I was like, okay, what about if I make money using the computer we had at the shop? And he was like, sure. Because I didn't make money using the computer at the shop we had before. He had no idea how I would make it. But as I said, I was editing videos and putting music on people's phone, and I made about $90 that day. So I was like, this is very, very interesting. This is something that I like to do, but this is also something I could potentially make money in, right? So I said, I need to promote this business. And the first idea that popped into my mind was to build a website. But I knew about websites because we had these Arab channels that we used to watch at home. And then during the ad break, it would show you, I really loved Power Rangers. So it would show you, we have Power Ranger toys. So if you want to see more about these toys, go to our website and explore more. So me thinking, if, people can promote their toys on a website, why can't I promote my business? I've never been outside of Harare by then. I don't know the capital. I don't know what's happening in Ethiopia, the tech ecosystem. I had no idea about it. But I was like, okay, I need to learn to make this in order to, grow my business and make more money. So when I did that, it was really a life-changing experience, a turning moment for me when I started to build my website. And because of that, I've gotten a lot of opportunities. And after I did my first website, I moved to the capital with, government sponsorship. So I started working on real projects. But, I started freelancing. But even then, building websites and even applications was not a cool thing, or it's not something that people were used to. So after that, I just started hustling. I started, trying to educate people more about, okay, why is this important? Where's the world right now, and what can we do about it? And through this experience, I joined a program called Girls Can Code, which was an initiative by the US Embassy. And through this, I found my passion for tech and also my passion for teaching. And, educating girls that were coming out of high school that had no idea about what computers are, what programming is, what AI is, what emerging technologies can do, was, giving them that exposure and showing them what's happening in the world really changed my perspective on what I want to do in the future. And luckily, during that time, I got introduced to GateNet with initially Hirui. Actually, Hirui is the CEO of Mindplex, which is also part of the SingularityNET community. And I joined ICOG Labs as an intern. Just to give you also a bit of a background on ICOG Labs is also co-founded by Dr. Ben, which is also the CEO of SingularityNET. It's the first private artificial intelligence research and development lab in East Africa. And we're actually celebrating our 10-year this year, and actually believing that, there could be potential in developing AI solutions. And the talent here was capable of doing that 10 years ago, 11 years ago, was a crazy idea. Because let alone thinking about developing AI tools, we were still, development of websites, digital technology, SMS, having good internet penetration. So 10 years ago, ICOG Labs was created with the goal of actually utilizing the talent that's in Ethiopia to work on international projects. And I was very lucky enough to join ICOG Labs maybe 6-7 years ago as an intern. Because ICOG Labs internship program was really strong. And once I joined, I got introduced to GateNet and eventually to Ben. But the thing that we really stuck on was like, we need to build the talent. We need to have more people interested in AI. We need to have more people that are, excited about AI technology. We need to create this awareness. And even before I joined, they had a program where they would go to universities giving free seminars on robotics and AI education. So we said, why we should do this starting from primary school, because even the students that were going into universities didn't really know if they actually wanted to be in computer science, one. And the second one was that there was a gender gap. There were a lot of women that were not joining these STEM fields because they didn't know or didn't have the exposure to what's possible. So, and also considering my experience and what I've talked about earlier is that, okay, we said, why not expand this to primary schools? And since then, we've been working on decentralizing access to tech education. And we've been doing that through different methods, including working with the Ministry of Education here in Ethiopia and targeting, schools outside of the capital, which is very, very important to us. And recently, there's a project also SingularityNET has supported, which is called the DigiTruck, basically a moving truck with a refurbished container. We refurbished the whole container. We put AC in, we put computers in. It's completely solar powered, and it moves around the country giving 100 hours of coding to students. And this is in areas where, students might not even have seen a computer. And this is basically helping them write their first line of code. And we're not necessarily expecting everyone, to become computer scientists or join, in artificial intelligence, but it's very important that the kids are aware, and then we make that light bulb moment, because every innovator, every computer scientist, everyone that you could possibly talk to will always remember that first moment they wrote their first line of code, their first access to a computer and an internet. So it's very important for us to create those opportunities, because one, we need more people of color, more women joining these fields, because as you know, there's a lot of bias being created. And in order to solve that, we need to have more people that have the skill sets to also develop these solutions. And also the second thing is we need to be able to create data, right? Of course, access to internet, mobile phones, smartphones, and computer infrastructure still is a problem, but even being aware what the world and the direction the world is going on right now is a very, very important. So that's why it's important to decentralize access to tech education and access to tech itself in terms of infrastructure. So we've been working that for the past 6 years now. We've reached over 26,000 kids and youth in Ethiopia, and we plan to even expand that even more in the near future. And I'm really, really excited about that. And as we're celebrating our 10-year, we're also looking forward to make more impact, to partner with more organizations, and also be part of communities like the SingularityNET community itself in order to expand more of our work. But yeah, thank you so much. This is more or less my talk and why it's important to me and why I even started doing this. And it has changed my life so much. And there's no reason why this opportunity shouldn't be given to other kids across Ethiopia. And hopefully we'll be able to expand this to other African countries. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you for inviting me here.
Thank you so much. It's so inspiring to hear everything that you've done, how your curiosity and your passion just led you on this unstoppable trajectory. That's children, right? They can't help that. But not everybody has the access. Not everybody has the time, the ability, or sees that entrepreneurial ability or opportunity necessarily. So your story, your inspiration is so beautiful. Can you share from your experiences and what you've seen? What are the biggest opportunities for AI, for instance, for decentralizing education and access to education?
Can you repeat that? I lost you for a second, sorry.
Absolutely. What do you see as the biggest opportunities for AI to increase access to and democratize education around the globe?
Yeah, so actually, we have been the first education project that ICOG Labs has done was called Yanitu. So yeah,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, you saw that, right? So
Yeah.
it was basically, so the Ethiopia has been focusing on building infrastructure across, the country itself, and but because of that, there has been a lack of quality, right? So teachers training and having good quality education across the country is a really hard thing to achieve. So programs like Yanitu, for example, initially when it was designed, was that to have an AI avatar that was on a tablet that could teach you. And it doesn't matter if you have a school around you or not, you have this tablet that could be charged. You could have charging stations, and then you would have quality education that's contextualized to you based on local languages, your skill sets. And that is a very, very important part, because unless we build a good foundation, these critical thinking skills, analytical thinking skills, problem solving skills, at a very early age, it's going to be very hard to compete in this industry. And actually, one of the books that I really love, the 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, it says, exploitation has been a problem so far in the human race. Now it's going to be relevance, right? Because AI tools, robots, etc. And building that skill set is very important for young kids, and having AI tools that are going to adapt, help you, and then personalize your learning is going to be very, very important. And we've tried to do this before with Yani too, of course, but that's also somewhere where I see it, because curriculums in schools are designed on the average, thinking of the average population, the average student, etc. And that has let a lot of people down, especially in Ethiopia. But also the quality of teachers and the quality of education delivery is not that great. So it's very important to have tools like this that are able to support students individually, to also kind of understand their individual qualities and build on that. So I really see AI really helping out on that.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. My son is 8, and been fortunate enough to homeschool and get to have him here with us and be able to nurture that education, and like you, help him follow his own curiosity. All the ways that children will just naturally, absorb everything that they can if it's available and it's around and they see that opportunity. But there seems to be so much where we tend to almost culturally squash that curiosity somehow with our learning systems. But that individualized approach and that ability to meet him where he is at and make it relevant is so important. I love Power Rangers as well. And I also love how when you saw the ads, it didn't make you want to buy stuff. It made you think, oh, I could sell stuff. That's so cool. That's fantastic. I love too how AI is so scalable. So with these AI systems, you can have one teacher in the room who may not know as much as the students, but can help them work with an AI who knows everything and is at their level individually. And suddenly, it's not a matter of access to the big city or to a better school or a private school. Everybody's got the same education opportunity and access through having this AI that's completely scalable in a way that teachers aren't necessarily yet. So Absolutely. It's just it's a beautiful abundance that
Yeah.
that we can take on from there.
Indeed.
I also wanted to say happy birthday.
No, thank you.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
excited. I'm leaving after this to celebrate with my friends, so I'm quite excited about it.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for taking part of your birthday to be here with us. It's fantastic. I hope this
Well,
is part of the celebration as well.
yeah, as I've mentioned, my birthday is a really important turning point for me. And that's when I, made my first money, and then what
Yeah,
also led me to make my website. So it's quite an important event.
which is
And
awesome. That's amazing. Have you seen any changes or anything around ChatGPT in the way that some of this natural, I don't assume that it's naturalized necessarily into all the different languages and dialects of Africa and of Ethiopia, but have you seen ChatGPT having an impact on education and opportunities yet? Have you seen that?
we cannot access ChatGPT from Ethiopia. Yes. And that's the reason why, we're usually left out of these conversations. We're usually the last ones to get asked, okay, what's your insight on this? And it's, I mean, we've been used to it, but it's not nice necessarily. So, being in, especially in this community, and being in the SingularityNET community, working in ICOG labs, and, working with multiple companies across, it's like, okay, why is it not accessible to us? So it's quite the question, but it's been quite an interesting to see, because it's been all over our conversations, to see, considering that what is Ethiopia currently relying on, right? It's the human resource. It's through manufacturing and through agriculture and through resources. But we were talking about so there are new jobs that could be potentially created. We don't know what these jobs will be, but there are also jobs that we might lose and that might be simplified through this. And how can we get the society ready for that? I don't even think that people are aware that these type of technologies exist. And the few people that are aware were like very skeptical about it, and are like, we don't have access to it. We don't know what's happening, but we're just seeing it from the outside. Of course, there are ways to access it, of course, but to the larger public, it's something that's still very, very far away.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting. That's such a bummer. It's again one of these access inequalities that just doesn't make sense, right? And here again is where the decentralization is so important, where when we have decentralized tools, there's no way to limit access, right? You can't turn that off, right? It goes everywhere and it spreads everywhere. Exactly. And all these kids and all these people who are curious have the ability to pull this in. So that makes me even more excited about our Zarka, our LLM project, because it's really aimed at that, at being that decentralized model that will help everyone. Well, that's really interesting. Thank you for very much sharing that. So you got into computers at a very young age. Fortunately, you had access and books, which is so important as well. And then is your first passion still around just the computer, the program, the science, or the AI? Where do you find the greatest interest and the greatest fascination for you now?
So for me, I've always been curious, right? I love learning. I love being challenged. So it's always like, okay, even with my partner, Getinet, who's the CEO of ICOG Labs, it's always a conversation of what's our next big challenge, right? What can we do with the skill sets that we have and the tools that we have? And of course, I've been really fascinated with, coding since a very young age, but and when I joined ICOG Labs, I started working on some projects. But after that, I saw, okay, my skill sets would be better on tech education, because I really do love educating kids in tech. But then, that was 6 years ago. And right now we're trying to do a lot more research and development, especially in sectors that really impact Ethiopia: education, healthcare, and agriculture. And how can also AI and other emerging technologies should be able to solve that, and with the focus of those that impact youth and kids. right? And of course, women, because those are things that are usually neglected. And we want to make sure, and we're a group of young people, we have different ways of thinking about things, right? And we're looking into that even more right now as we're looking to the next 10 years and reflecting on the 10 years we've had so far. That's also something that, based on our experiences and what we've learned on building different types of tools for different types of AI tools for companies abroad, I think it's also time now to see how that skill set and knowledge translates into problems in Ethiopia. So we're quite excited about that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So in that tech education space, going around in the DigiTruck, which sounds awesome. What do you find is the hook, the thing that really sparks and lights up the children that you get to work with or have gotten to work with?
So even, everyone that has coded knows writing their first line of code and then seeing
Yeah.
in real time is just like, oh, wow, I can make the computer do this. So that's really exciting for everyone to see. And majority, like maybe 95% of the students, not even 95, almost 99% of the students that come into the DigiTruck have no prior experience, right? And the reason why we are implementing the DigiTruck is so that there are a lack of centers, there are a lack of teachers, there are a lack of, access to these type of technologies. So going to places that you wouldn't normally go and build, these are places where the truck will go. And then it teaches tech education. So that exposure and saying, oh, this is what's happening in the world, this is possible, right? Those moments are created through them writing their first line of code. And then we also give them an idea of, this is happening in the world and this is happening because of these tools. And then you can make these tools and there are different career paths that you can potentially join in. So just, even knowing that it's possible, and even us going there to places that, people haven't went before and saying, we're here for you, we support you, and then we're here for your growth. It's a very important part. And we don't just after the training, we just don't leave. We communicate, we provide them with resources as much as possible, and then we make sure we follow up throughout. So we have like a group of young people, kids that are really passionate about technology and are excited about the future. So that's what we want to create, and eventually, create this community of scientists and innovators that would potentially contribute to the world. So that's DigiTruck.
Awesome. That's so beautiful. And we have a question from the audience. Let me check in with this first. What is SNET's relationship with the DigiTruck? So it's sponsored by ICOG Labs, and ICOG Labs was founded by Ben. SingularityNET, what's the relationship specifically there?
Yeah, so I remember initially when we started the project, it was called the Sophia School Bus, because we wanted to change the bus and then move around the country. And Ben has been supporting us since the beginning of making sure that, this is a reality. And once the DigiTruck launched, which is now a partnership between ICOG or the subsidiary I lead, which is Anyone Can Code, Ministry of Education, and Huawei, and SingularityNET is also supporting so that we go across the country. So far, our plan is to teach around 3,500 students this year, and we've done, I think, about 950. So SingularityNET has been supporting that, and then also been supporting us to find more partners that could potentially support this and expand it to even more cities across the continent.
Yeah, and just having that, as you say, going to these places that haven't been able to get access to resources, but just bringing this to the community so they feel seen, right? We see you out there, we see your curiosity, we see you wanting to join this movement, and there's opportunities for you, and if you're hungry, get in here, do this. I love how you're also forming this group too, so that it's not somebody or an area on its own, but collecting this curiosity, this passion, this interest, and nurturing along. It's just completely beautiful. Is there any way that people, that anybody could participate, could help, could support this effort.
Yes, we're actually trying to do that because it's definitely something that we need support in expanding in. And so Janet also, I just want to say that Janet has been a huge help, who's the COO of SingularityNET. We've been trying to connect with different partners, NGOs, and people that are interested to support. But we're coming up ways. If there's anyone that's willing to help, they can definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn through my name. But we're still setting it up, and we'll be announcing it very soon.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. Yeah, I remember, my early days of research before I joined Singularity. Actually, I was interested in Cardano first and saw Mihaela on Cardano, and then she's the one who linked Charles and Ben, of course. So we'll see Mihaela here in a few minutes. But when I first got into SingularityNet and AGI, I see the possibility for Sophia as this amazing mentor, coach, educator, all this that can really nurture people, growth, children, adults, everybody. And I found the Yaneku project, like you said, right? And I got incredibly excited, and I wanted to get a hold of Ben the next day and find out where it was and how, can I get in there, contribute and help this. I hope that we can nurture that into something bigger with ChatGPT and the ability for this natural language processing and training, and some of the other initiatives, the decentralized LLM that we're creating. I know that, as you say, Janet has a special passion for education projects in Africa, around the world, but especially we have this special link with Africa currently, this space, and it's something that she talks about regularly. So it's special to her. And now that you reminded me, I can't believe I forgot about the project. Now that you reminded me, I hope that we can turn that into something amazing. Ben's also very passionate about speech-to-speech translation, right? So for people unfamiliar with typing, or for all the dialects, the languages around Africa, around these countries, making sure that that's not an additional barrier. Like there's an access barrier now, a language barrier now. It's so making sure that we just pull these barriers down one by one. Everybody in the world, as you say, women can be particularly have a hard time getting into this space, the tech space. It's just not necessarily encouraged in many cultures around the world. And then, of course, just for all children, for everybody, right? Everybody wants to make an impact, to have this opportunity to follow their curiosity and make a different world. And by pulling down these barriers one to one, everybody gets to have that impact, right? This decentralized.
Yes, indeed.
What has been the most inspiring aspect of this for you? What has been the most inspiring story, or what has uplifted you and helps you keep going down this track?
Yeah, so I'm very lucky to be working with kids. They inspire me every day, and the youth, they inspire me every day. And even during COVID, I was telling my team, I wish I wish we weren't in our houses. I wish we were out there, working and doing it like we used to do. And now that we're back, it's just a reminder of how much it inspires me to do more every day. But let me tell you a story that I always talk about, because this is the need for decentralizing and democratizing access to tech education is very important, because we want people to come up with solutions on their own, right? Because they understand the solutions better than anyone. Instead of coming to them and say, oh, here's a solution for you, learn how to use it. It's better to say, okay, these are possible solutions, and these are tools that you can also use to make your solution. So see how that fits into what you already have going on. So there's that one project through our program called Solve It. And as the name suggests, it's solving local problems using local solutions. And it's there was this man that built like a Uber for milk kind of application, right? So in 2018, we went there, we trained people on how to use tech, design thinking, how to go about problems, what are the technologies available, what's being done. And a year later, we would come back, and then he bought there's a 3-wheeled car called Bajaj. And then he already has like a MacBook Pro, and I was like, what happened? And he was like, I built this application because not necessarily an application, but a tool. So when he goes to downtown and asks for like latte, they would tell him, oh, there's no milk, right? But he knows back in his village that there's a lot of milk that's going bad and not a lot of people are using it. So he said, okay, how can I solve this problem? And through getting access to this tech education, getting access to the infrastructure itself, he was able to build a solution where he collected the number of liters that was being produced every day, and then the shortest distance to collect that milk. And then now he would bring it from the village and then sell it to the city. And we hear these type of stories and we hear these types of solutions when we implement these projects, because these kids and this youth have had access to these opportunities. And these kind of stories really do, and it's changing a lot of, lives, even though not everything has to be grand, right? You can make a small difference everywhere, and then that the compound effect will bring that in. So I'm really excited, to see these kind of solutions coming up because of the interventions that we're designing. And hopefully we'll also have, solutions that are decentralized and then that utilize AI on a big scale eventually. But we're building the foundation right now, and then we hope to grow that into something much bigger.
It's so beautiful. I love that. It's so true about this decentralization of AI access, the capability to build tools to solve problems that you really have, your own personal issues, Facebook, Google, or Microsoft designs an AI, Google or Facebook is going to be designed to sell you ads, right? It's going to be really good at selling you ads and really good at making you look at the screen longer and really good at, like all these. But they're not necessarily thinking hard about how to solve these little problems, the things that affect us, real estate and distribution. And that's so beautiful. And then, of course, he got a better coffee. So,
yeah.
See the downside to that.
We're the origin of, the first intelligent human being, Lucy. Yeah.
Right. That's
yes.
right. That's right. Absolutely.
We call it the land of origins. Yeah.
So yes. Yeah. and first intelligence and now elevating that intelligence to the foremost intelligence.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Well, that's fantastic. I really appreciate you joining us here today, Betelhem. It's been spectacular to talk to you, to hear your perspective that we don't always get to hear, but it's so critical. There's, they have this old statistic that's been rattling around in me for the last couple of days. It's like, whatever humans only use 5% of their brain or whatever they say, and then they're changing that. But as a planet, as a species, we're still very much stuck, and we're only using 5% of our global brain. And part of that's, just like people are doing very manual work and labor and truck. It's not using their human creativity and their ability. But then there's just all this latent, massive intelligence and curiosity that could be creating, even for somebody who wants to, doesn't want to become an AI programmer, just wants to be a better farmer. But having and making or working with somebody to make the tool that can detect the local pests or the local diseases, crop diseases, or, so it has this opportunity to throughout provide better tools for everybody and to really utilize our global brain in a bigger way.
I'm really optimistic about I'm really optimistic what AI could bring to this world, truly. I believe that we are now so occupied with the little things in life that we forget what it means to be human itself, loving, appreciating nature, family, and we're so busy, getting things done and doing things, we forget to experience how to be human. And having these type of tools will really help us get back to that and get back to ourselves. And I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully, if it's not during my age, hopefully in my future kids' age. I really yes.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, I agree.
Okay. I guess that's me, right? I believe.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Betelhem. You've been wonderful here. And we
And thank
appreciate you joining us in this session and sharing everything you've been sharing.
I will join. I'll watch the YouTube streams tomorrow or so. But thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the Singularity team and the community. You've been really supportive in what we do and what we want to accomplish. So I really want to say thank you to Ben, of course, and Janet, who has been really helpful through this. And thank you so much for having this conversation with me, Heli.
Thank you very much.
Bye.